Brenda stared at the screen, her mind swirling with a storm of emotions. Betrayal, hurt, anger, and disappointment all surged within her like a torrential flood. But amidst it all, a single thought kept echoing. She had to set things right. Gathering her wits, she pulled up her own Facebook profile and clicked on the new message button. Her fingers hovered over the keys before she typed out the young woman's username. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing the weight of what she was about to do. She started the message with a brief introduction. "Hello, my name is Brenda. I am Ron's wife." Her eyes welled up with tears as she typed out the words. Yet she continued, driven by a desperate need for truth. "I think it's only fair you know who you've really been talking to," she wrote, attaching the unflattering photo of Ron taken just last week on his birthday. His skin marked by wrinkles, his hair noticeably grayer and his belly protruding slightly over his belt. Her finger hovered over the send button, her mind teetering on the precipice of uncertainty. With a deep breath, she pressed down, her heart echoing the finality of the click. She knew there would be consequences, that their lives would never be the same, but for the sake of honesty, it was a step she was willing to take. As she put down the phone, Brenda felt a strange mix of relief and trepidation. The truth was out now, unspooling into the digital world like a sail catching the wind. All that was left was to weather the storm that was sure to follow. Back at his home, Ron was still oblivious to the silent, digital storm that had swept through his life. He sat in his living room, scrolling through his Facebook feed, blissfully unaware of the truths that had been laid bare. "Ron!" Brenda called from the kitchen, her voice slightly shaky, betraying her calm demeanor. "Be there in a minute," Ron called back, his gaze fixed on the computer screen, his fingers poised to type out another message to Lisa. As he sent off his message, he felt a momentary pang of guilt, a lingering shadow in the back of his mind. He quickly brushed it off. It was just harmless fun, he told himself. There was no harm in a little online chatting. Besides, what Troy or Brenda didn't know wouldn't hurt them. Brenda's heart pounded as she laid out dinner on the dining table. She had wrestled with her thoughts all day, fluctuating between disbelief, anger, and pain. She decided it was best to confront Ron directly. This was not a matter to be swept under the rug. She took a deep breath as she heard Ron's heavy footsteps approaching. Ron walked into the dining room, his mind still filled with thoughts of Lisa. He'd sent her a message, but she hadn't replied yet. Perhaps she was busy, he reasoned. Or maybe she was playing hard to get. He noticed Brenda standing rigidly by the dining table. He felt a pang of unease. "Brenda, what's wrong?" he asked, his eyebrows furrowing with concern. Brenda turned to face him, her hands tightly clenched into fists. Her eyes were glassy, mirroring the pain she was struggling to keep at bay. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she was about to do. "Who is Lisa, Ron?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ron froze, a chill running down his spine. For a moment, he thought he'd misheard. His heart pounded in his chest, the silence in the room amplifying the sound. "Brenda," he began, his voice sounding shaky even to his own ears. I saw the messages, Ron. I know everything." Her voice was firm now, her eyes filled with a challenging spark. This was not a question, but a statement. A proclamation of a battle that had just begun. The silence that followed was deafening. Brenda looked at Ron, her gaze steely and resolute. She was no longer the woman who smiled politely at his lame jokes, or the woman who had believed his every word. This was a woman scorned. "Did you think I wouldn't find out, Ron?" she began, her voice firm and steady. "Did you think your secret life would stay hidden forever?" Ron swallowed hard, his throat suddenly feeling dry. He tried to form words, to explain, to apologize, but words failed him. Brenda continued, "We made promises, Ron. We promised to be faithful, to be honest. We promised to trust each other. But you You betrayed that trust. She picked up his phone, the damning messages glaring from the screen. This isn't you. This isn't the man I married, she said, her voice wavering for the first time. I thought we had something special, something real. But all this, she gestured with the phone. This is a lie. It's all a lie. Tears welled in her eyes, but she fought them back. She wouldn't cry. Not now, not in front of him. I've spent my life being honest, being faithful to you. And this is what I get in return. Her voice was a mix of anger and sorrow. A husband who can't be trusted, who would rather flirt with a young woman online than be truthful to his wife. She looked at Ron, her disappointment clear in her eyes. You broke my heart, Ron. But more than that, you broke my trust. And that's something I don't know if I can ever forgive. Ron looked at Brenda, her face hardened with accusation and hurt. He felt his heart tighten. He wanted to reach out to her, to comfort her, but he knew it wasn't his place. Not now. Brenda, he started, his voice a mere whisper. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It was just a game. Brenda looked at him incredulously. A game, Ron? You think lying and cheating is a game? No. I didn't cheat, Brenda, Ron stuttered, his hands shaking slightly. I was just talking. Chatting. It was nothing serious. Brenda snorted. Nothing serious. Ron, you've been leading a double life. You've been lying to me, to yourself. And for what? For some attention from a young woman online. Ron rubbed his forehead, a gesture of frustration. I didn't lie, Brenda. I just didn't tell you. And it's not about attention. It's about feeling alive. Brenda filled in the word for him, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Ron's silence was answer enough. And where does that leave me, Ron? Brenda's voice was softer now, more hurt than angry. Where does that leave us? Ron had no answer. He looked at Brenda, at the woman he had hurt with his careless actions, and felt a pang of guilt. But the damage was done. The truth was out, and now they both had to deal with the consequences.